So this is a 1959 Ford Thunderbird that raced on Daytona. After 1958, they come off the sands of Daytona, went to the new track, paved track. So Ford Motor Company wanted to win the first race really bad. So Ford Motor Company sent 8 Ford Thunderbirds to Holman and Moody, which is stationed out at the airport in Charlotte. So anyway, they set the 8 of them down, and they started making race cars out of them. What I've been told, that Bill France found out about it, and he called Mr. Holman at Holman and Moody and told him that he could build all the race cars he wanted to build. But he wasn't going to race any of them because the Ford Thunderbird and the Corvette was our two sports cars back in those days. But then later on, he said that you go ahead and make the cars to our specs in NASCAR, and we'll see what to do. Make sure that they're not any better than a regular 59 Ford, Chevrolet, Ford, Buick, Studebaker, whatever you're going to be running at that time. So anyway, so they got the cars done and got his approval on it. So they built 8 cars, and they took them to Daytona. So they all qualified. Stuff like it was running pretty decent in it. So they were racing through the thing there, and so at the end of the races right there's a Ford Thunderbird was declared the winner, but it wasn't one of Holman Moody's Ford's Thunderbirds. It was Johnny Beauchamp from out Nebraska, and that they declared him the winner of the race. But a guy named T. Tyler Warner, which is a photographer for NASCAR and also himself, had pictures of the start-finish line when they come across the 3 cars in it, and it showed Lee Petty and his Oldsmobile, number 42, had actually beat Beauchamp a little bit in it. Now getting back to this Ford Thunderbird here too, now this car here was what they call a zipper top. You can take your top off and you can run in the convertible series. The reason France did that was to let these guys try to make a little bit more money because they just didn't pay a lot of money on it. So I've been told by a lot of convertible drivers back in the late 50s that France gave them $100 to cut the roofs off. But then they could bolt the roofs back on and they could run in the regular race center too. So guys, anyway, this is a zipper top. To get this top off, you have a bolt here, one on the other side, and you got one in the middle. Then on the back end of it, you have a bolt here and here on each side of it. So in about 10 minutes, you can have that top off of it. And some of the guys in the beginning right there would take the cars out, and it was on Daytona, it's really hot down there, and that sand is blowing. So a lot of the guys, that they put a thin sheet of metal from right behind the driver's seat and up to the front right there, and they tack welded that in there. They put like a tonneau cover on it right there. Well, a tonneau cover just popped off just as they started getting some wind in there. But the metal in there was making it so hot in there that the drivers couldn't hardly stand to be in there. So anyway, they come up with a zipper top, but they had a piece of cloth that you put in there, that you had kind of like snaps and stuff like that on it, and they could use that. Then when they was going to run into regular races, they would take that off and bolt the top back on it. Now they're ready to start running. Yet another thing, a lot of people we get in the museum here is this reflector right here. And what this is, on the sands of Daytona, you got a lot of sand going around. That sand will hit your windshield really bad. So where the wind's coming up over the front end of the car, it'll hit this and bounce up over the roof of it. And so anyway, that's why they had that on there, to kind of help protect that. So that's the story of the Ford Thunderbird and the first race at Daytona. They ran for about 3 more years. The Ford Thunderbirds right there that done very well out of specs with NASCAR.